somebody tweeted out that Jalen Clark's stat line was the first time in 20 years that somebody either at the NBA, WNBA, Division I men's or women's level had put together that stat line in 20 years.
I have two responses to that. Number one, whoever did that really needs to get a hobby. If they spent all that time researching that, they really got to get outside. I mean, I understand it was raining yesterday, but yeah, they got to get. There's just too many other things to do in life. Secondly, you know, guys like Jalen Clark, you have to win. Guys that, like I said the other night after the game, that play defense, they're not on defense. You know, and when you evaluate, I know he didn't have 10 points when I went to see him play for Coach Kleckner at Etiwanda and offered him a scholarship. He did not have 10 points in the game, but he plays every play of the game. You have to get guys that play without the ball. They go after the ball, they rotate defensively, they sprint down the floor. You know, it's a little trick in our game to evaluation is, you know, watching what guys do when they don't have the ball. And he competes when he doesn't have the ball. It's a skill. It really is a skill. You know, most people talk about skills in our game. It's with the ball.
Right.
You know, but there's you know, listening's a skill, and playing without the ball, and it's not just moving without it on offense to get open. I mean, he plays the game when he doesn't have the ball with tremendous competitive spirit and intensity.
How rare is it to find a guy who has that kind of intrinsic motivation to do that on the defensive end when you're out evaluating and looking at guys?
I don't know if it's rare. It's not common. It's not common. You know, our game is, I guess, I don't want to say plagued, but part of the biggest problem with our game is the stat sheet. You know, and when 8-year-olds and 10-year-olds play basketball and they go home, everybody asks them how many points they had. You know, so they tend to think that you know, that's the only part of the game. You know, I would give, you know, Jalen's mom's from Cleveland, his dad's from Newark, two of the toughest, hardest working towns in America. So I got to give them a lot of credit. I think, you know, a lot of that comes from his DNA of, you know, his family.
There were also like a handful of times where he was leading the break and it seemed like he was making good decisions with the ball. How has he improved in terms of that offensive skill as well?
Well, I would say his best offensive skill from even the first time I saw him has always been his passing. You know, he's definitely improved as a scorer. But our passing's always been his best skill.
Was there anything new when you looked at the film that you saw?
There always is. You know, I think we all knew the rebounding wasn't the greatest. Some areas where we got to improve. But it's early. You know, everybody's trying to clean stuff up right now. But we got to clean up our boxing out, especially with Long Beach State coming in. They're a great offensive rebounding team, very athletic team. They play hard. So that's an area where I think they're strong, and right now we're not. So that would be probably my biggest focus.
After the game, you mentioned, you know, what it's going to look like, you know, when Amari and the rest of the freshmen do get more comfortable. When it is, you know, the defense specifically, when it is working how you want it, what does that look like?
We'll see. The other team can't score. I mean, we were talking about defense.
Yeah.
The other team can't score. So I think Amari, because he's a tremendous elite athlete, and he also has the competitive side of it, he has a chance to be a devastating defender at our level. You know, he can recover because he can. Again, I talk about guys that can do things other guys can't do. Because of his athleticism, combined with his toughness, he can get steals or block a shot. He can recover in ways other guys can't recover because of his athleticism, and he has size. So Dylan Andrews is tremendous on the ball defensively. And then when you added Dembona, you know, he was a devastating shot blocker. It makes our defense that much better.
He's good to go for Friday?
Yes.
Did you see defensive improvement from the exhibition to the
Oh, yeah.
season opener?
Yeah, I think, we had a chance to hold a team under 50. You hold a Division I team to 50 or less, you're doing something right. Forced 21 turnovers. You got to understand, David Patrick's a really, really good coach. He knows what he's doing. I mean, his teams have always executed, and all the guys with in his case, Australian, the international background, they're pretty adept at their offensive execution stuff. So I was happy with that. What I was really happy with is we made in-game adjustments. Look, to be really good, you have plan A going in, and you have to make some adjustments. And our guys, when we made a few adjustments to the things that they were doing, we got better. You've heard me talk about this. Your defense has to get better as the game goes on, because at winning time is when you need to get stops. So I thought, we got better as the game went on defensively, and that's something that I look for, our ability to make those adjustments.
David Singleton, did his release quicken a little bit in the offseason? Because it looks like it's even a little
That's
bit.
overrated. I don't know. People write about things like that as comical. I could care less how fast his release is. Care if the ball goes in. Shooting, look, Reggie Miller played here. Okay, I'd like to get him down here. It's tough to get Reggie out of Malibu, and he's a big shot. Probably the best analyst on TNT in game. But he would tell you that shooting is about your footwork and what happens before you catch the ball. The guy was legendary at his pregame routines. Growing up in Cincinnati, being so close to Indianapolis and basketball people, and his run with the Pacers and the stories about his preparation before a game. And having read all that stuff as a younger coach when I was getting started, it's all about shot preparation. It's not about how fast you release the ball. Everything that today, Steph Curry, it's all about shot preparation. I watched last night the replay of their win the other night. He had 47. His footwork before he catches the ball is why he's so good. And that's what I've been working with David on. When he, I shouldn't say this because he never struggles, but when he does miss shots, he tends to not have pre-shot good footwork. He's flat-footed. When he has his footwork, it's like you'd be surprised if he misses.
Have you heard about his shoe collection?
Yeah. I always say, look, you can't hide money. People that have shoe collections must have money. That's what I tell guys. People that have shoe collections must have a lot of money.
157 pairs.
See, the difference between Dave and I equate that to how much I could sell those for. But we all got to have things we love. I wasn't, when I was young, I probably wasn't the most fiscally responsible human either.
See for Mac after coming back.
Just getting better every game, every day. It's going to take. Mac hasn't played in a year and a half. It's going to be the same for Will. Mac could have easily said, "Hey, coach, I'm not ready," but we needed him on Monday with the dem out, and I was really happy with. He had 4 blocks and like 6 or 7 rebounds. So it's going to take a while probably for him to get to calm down on offense. And that's probably the biggest thing with all of our freshmen, with Amari. Young guys, they get really excited. There's no such thing as a 10-point play. Trying to find a rhythm as a young player and let the game come to you is probably the hardest thing to teach a young player offensively. Where you see Tiger's patience out there, David's patience out there offensively, versus young guys, when they get the ball, their excitement level goes up like 100 times. You can see it. And that's what happened to Mac offensively the other night.
How close is Will right now to?
Yeah, I said it the other night, Ben. I would say he had a PRP thing where it takes time. About, I don't know, 3-4 weeks ago, that you have to give out like 6 weeks. So we're hoping for mid-December, I think. But it's all speculation. Because every time you step a guy's progression up that's coming back, they have to clear hurdles. So that would be no setbacks.